This is Dr. Michael Lamb.
And this is Dr. Carrie Lamb. We're here to have another question and answer session to answer your questions. So, question number one. Are there some key nutrients with doses that you can suggest for me to get my energy and my vitality and adrenals back?
Well, if you just spend any time on the internet, the most common, widely used supplements is vitamin C and a host of vitamin B. Um, I think in the past many decades, this has been like the mainstay, and it works because vitamin C and vitamin B are the building blocks of adrenal hormones. We know that, and by replenishing those, they'll be very useful. The problem comes is when you have more advanced forms of adrenal fatigue, and when that happens and you're in advanced stages, then all bets are off because you're no longer dealing with just the adrenal system anymore. Now you deal with the neuroendometabolic stress response, which contains 6 circuits and 12 systems, out of which adrenal is only one of them. So in mild stages, early on, when you're not bed bound, you're not couch bound, you don't have symptoms of low blood sugar, for example, you don't have insomnia, you don't have heart palpitations, so you can always start off with some vitamin C, and low dosage, maybe anywhere from 200 all the way to 1,000 milligrams is not unusual. Some people take more, some people take less. The form also makes a difference, and mineral ascorbic such as ester C tend to be easier for the stomach. Ascorbic acid tend to be faster acting, but at the same time it is hypey. So there's no way to tell you which one is good for your particular body, except just to give you some general guidelines to say that yes, vitamin C, vitamin B's are okay, but only when you're in mild stages. If you are in advanced stages, then don't even try because you can be crushed. And sometimes the worst is you can feel better. And when you feel better, you think that, oh, you're on the right track. You take more and more and more. And then your body simply just keep being stretched because taking vitamin C is akin to sometimes in a weak body, like whipping the body. And then ultimately you can crash.
You mean
So
you've seen people in later stages that actually crash from taking vitamin C?
yeah, and those are the same people who do fantastic in vitamin C in the beginning. So the tendency for them is to think that they're on the right track. So, there's a lot more to adrenal regulation and neuroendometabolic stress response modulation than just trying to just reach for supplements and then try to take it. Remember that it is very easy to try to take the shortcut in recovery. But remember, the most important is that your body behave a certain way. It's not necessary that it is defective, but it's the way of warning you. It's the way the body is trying to tell you what's going underneath. So even though vitamin C is the right thing for you in the mild and early stages, simply patching it with vitamin C often problematic at the end. So that's why we are very careful. We do use vitamin C, don't get me wrong, but at the right time, at the right place, with the right form, with the right delivery system, so it makes sense for the body, okay?
Yeah, and another question that we tend to hear a lot is actually we see a lot of clients come in already taking adaptogens like ashwagandha, rhodiola, holy basil, or other types of herbs and glandulars. So this question is, why do herbs like that make slumps or slowness worse, and what should I be taking instead?
Um, Many of these glandulars and herbs, remember, first of all, they are not natural compounds that is made inside the body. These are external compounds that have properties that we like, and that's why we bring them inside the body. So these compounds are never designed for long-term use. A lot of people find initial positive response and then tend to use it over time, and that's when the response becomes blunted and eventually turn on the body. Of course, this is in addition to the body not able to process it to begin with. And the weaker the body, generally, these are the people that we find they're already weak, they are sensitive, so they don't do well with these kind of supplements because these supplements have an intrinsic property of being stimulatory for reasons we don't understand. This is just what they are. Even though they can be adaptogenic in the early stages, somehow the adaptogenic mechanism is disrupted. So their native property shows up and they become stimulating. And when you are getting into that transition, then the body sometimes is very confused. And then, when the body is confused, sometimes it rejects. Sometimes it develops tolerance. Sometimes it will develop resistance. All of which is not going to make you comfortable. So remember, the key thing is whenever you take the supplement, you have to feel okay about it. If you feel heavy, sluggish, anxious, not sleeping, irritable, startled easily, sweating, palpitations, eye twitching, all these are signs that the body is trying to whisper to you something is wrong, and you have to stop and really take a step back. If you don't know what you're taking, don't guess. Find someone who knows each and every property of each and every compound in their own delivery systems, and then seek the explanation. Because the same compound in different delivery system can have drastic different results. Okay, for example, I give you like even melatonin. A lot of people take a sleep aid. 1 to 3 milligrams is work. Some people do better with 1 milligram. Some people do better with 3 milligrams, for example. But universally, guess what? If you try to go up in melatonin to higher doses, the pills generally don't work very well. You have to go to a liquid form. We don't know why. Maybe it's the pineal gland that is where this effect is much more sensitive to the binders and the fillers, which is unavoidable in the pill form. So there's many knowledge that you have to know. It goes down to the real minute detail. It's not just a matter of brand A versus brand B versus brand C, or blanketly saying it's right or wrong. You have to know.
Thank you for answering that about the adaptogens. And this is another question that a lot of people have. How can I test for adrenal fatigue?
Well, remember, adrenal fatigue is not a recognized medical condition. There is no definitive test on a diagnostic basis. There are certain tests to measure cortisol level to rule out Cushing's disease or Addison's disease, but they are not sine qua non for adrenal fatigue, and it does not measure the free hormones that is at stake here. A saliva test tend to be much more better in terms of measuring the free hormone, but you're really not measuring the absolute level alone. You really have to look at the rhythm, because adrenal fatigue has to do with the overall function throughout a 24-hour cycle of the adrenal circadian rhythm. So the ability to recognize the pattern of how high or how low it goes throughout the day is a key determination. And so that varies from person to person depending on the body's constitution, what the person is going through, etc., etc. So there is no direct test, but there are good saliva markers that will allow the person, the health provider, to be able to combine it together with the history to make sense. So that is why sometimes we don't use any test at all, but use the history. It's actually more accurate. Okay, but of course, if you have you have both, then it's oftentimes helpful to each other.
So we hope that we have answered a few of your questions about the adaptogens, about the supplementation, and also about the adrenal fatigue testing. So we hope that we can help you out. But if you have any other questions, make sure you go to drlamcoaching.com and you can use our Ask the Doctor and send in a question, and we'll be able to get back to you, or we can create another video just to, if we see a lot of the same types of questions come through. So make sure you like and share our video and hit the subscribe button so that you can see all our other videos when they come out. And we hope to empower you on your health journey.